Imagine holding a lump of black rock that always points the same direction, no matter where you turn, no matter where you stand. That rock launched the age of exploration. Before the compass, sailors never willingly left sight of land. At sea, in fog or overcast skies, with no stars visible, you were simply lost. The best navigators read the night sky. Polaris told you north, but clouds came, storms came, and the open ocean swallowed ships that wandered off course. Mediterranean sailors had it easier. Their sea is enclosed, coastlines never far. But beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the Atlantic waited, vast and unforgiving. The story begins in China, during the Han Dynasty, roughly 2,000 years ago. In the courts of emperors and the homes of fortune-tellers, a strange black rock was precious. The rock was lodestone, naturally magnetized iron ore. It had been known in China, Greece, and India for centuries, but the Chinese did something no one else did. They carved it. Craftsmen ground lodestone into the shape of a ladle or spoon, perfectly balanced, able to spin freely on a smooth bronze plate. When it stopped spinning, the handle pointed south. The Chinese called it the Sinan, the South Pointer. It wasn't made for sailors. It was made for geomancers, practitioners of feng shui, to align buildings and graves with cosmic forces. For at least 500 years, the Sinan was a ritual object, sitting on fortune-tellers' divination boards. No one seems to have thought to take it to sea. That gap between this point south and this could guide a ship lasted half a millennium. Sometimes the most obvious applications are the last ones discovered. During China's Song dynasty, in the 10th and 11th centuries, something changed. Engineers began experimenting with magnetizing iron needles instead of carving heavy lodestone into spoons. In 1088, a Chinese polymath named Shen Qiu published his Dream Pool Essays. In it, he described how a magnetized needle, floated on water or hung from a thread, reliably pointed south. Shen Qiu also noted the needle didn't point to true south. It was off by a small angle. He had described magnetic declination centuries before Europeans even knew the phenomenon existed. Within decades, Chinese sailors began floating magnetized needles in bowls of water. By 1117, a Chinese text explicitly described sailors using such a device at sea, in cloudy weather when the stars were hidden. Early compass needles were sometimes shaped like fish and floated in water to spin freely. The image of a tiny iron fish swimming in a bowl, silently pointing the way, is one of history's quieter miracles. The compass traveled west the same way silk, paper, and gunpowder did along trade routes, carried by Arab merchants who crossed paths with Chinese navigators in the ports of Southeast Asia. By the mid-12th century, Arab sailors in the Indian Ocean were using the compass. They likely encountered it through Chinese traders. From there, the Mediterranean was a short sail away. In 1190, an English monk named Alexander Neckham wrote about sailors using a magnetized needle to find north when stars were hidden. This is the earliest written mention of the compass in Europe. No one invented the compass in Europe. It arrived, almost fully formed, from the East. But Europeans obsessed over it, refined it, and eventually took it into the open Atlantic. In 1269, a French scholar named Petrus Peregrinus wrote the first scientific study of magnetism. His letter on the magnet described how to build a compass, how the poles worked, and why needles align with Earth. European compass makers added the compass rose, the decorative starburst of directional points you still see on maps today. It grew from 8 points to 16 to 32, giving navigators ever finer precision. They mounted the needle beneath a printed circular card, floating it in a fluid-filled housing that stayed steady even on a heaving deck. The mariner's compass, in all its essentials, was complete by the 1300s. With reliable compasses, European mapmakers produced Portolan charts, strikingly accurate maps of coastlines, covered in compass lines radiating from every port. Their precision seems almost impossible for their era. In the early 1400s, Portugal's Prince Henry the Navigator sponsored voyages from Sagres. Compass, astrolabe, and the new Latin-rigged caravel together sent Portuguese sailors further south down Africa's coast than anyone had dared go. In 1488, Bartolomeu Dias rounded the Cape of Good Hope, the southern tip of Africa. A decade later, Vasco da Gama followed that same route all the way to India. In 1492, Christopher Columbus used a magnetic compass to cross the Atlantic. He reportedly noticed his needle drifting during the voyage and chose not to mention it to his crew, fearing it would frighten them. Between 1519 and 1522, Ferdinand Magellan's expedition became the first to circumnavigate the Earth. The compass was aboard every nautical mile. Without it, there is no age of exploration. The compass told sailors which direction to sail, but not how far they'd gone. Dead reckoning filled that gap, timing speed with a knotted rope thrown overboard. That practice is why we still measure speed in knots today. In roughly 100 years, the compass helped Europeans map coastlines that had been unknown to them. The world went from mostly blank parchment to recognizable continents. That transformation began with a Han Dynasty fortune teller's spoon. The reason a compass works is Earth itself. Our planet has a molten iron core that generates a magnetic field with a North Pole and a South Pole. A magnetized needle aligns itself with that field. Shen Kuo intuited that Earth itself was doing the aligning. William Gilbert, an English physician, confirmed it in 1600 in his landmark book De Magnete. Earth, he wrote, is itself a giant magnet. The small angle Shen Kuo noticed, magnetic declination, varies by location and changes over time as Earth's core shifts. Modern navigators still correct for it. It is built into every nautical chart. For centuries, ship compasses floated their needles in liquid, first water, later oil, to damp the rolling motion of waves. A needle that lurches with every swell is useless. Liquid made it workable at sea. Steel ships introduced a new complication. The iron hull itself deflected the compass needle. By the 1800s, navigators placed iron balls and small magnets around the binnacle to cancel the ship's own magnetic pull. In the 1980s and 90s, the global positioning system arrived, and the navigational compass became secondary. Satellites could place you within a few feet. The magnetic needle, after 800 years at sea, stepped aside. And yet the compass did not disappear. Its symbol did something remarkable. It became the universal icon for navigation itself, migrating from the decks of ships into our pockets and our screens. Open any map application on your phone right now. In the corner sits a compass rose or a pointing arrow. Tap it, and the map rotates to face the direction you're walking. The icon is 2,000 years old. In video games, from early dungeon crawlers to open-world epics, the compass sits in the corner of the screen as the minimap's navigation marker. Hundreds of games use it. None of them need to explain what it means. From The Legend of Zelda to Skyrim to Minecraft, the compass icon marks quests, orients players, and points toward objectives. A Song Dynasty instrument is now the visual grammar of virtual exploration. Why does the compass endure as a symbol when GPS has made the object nearly obsolete? Because it captures something deeper than direction, the idea of orientation itself, of knowing where you stand in a world that offers no labels. The compass rose is widely cited as one of the most popular tattoo designs in the world. It appears on logos, album covers, and jewelry. It carries one quiet message: I know my direction. Think about that Han Dynasty geomancer, setting his lodestone spoon on a bronze plate to align a tomb with cosmic forces. He wasn't navigating. He was trying to understand his place in a larger order. That is exactly what the compass became for every sailor who crossed an uncharted sea. Not just a tool for finding north, but a tool for finding yourself in a world far larger than you knew. From a fortune teller's spoon to the deck of a ship crossing uncharted oceans to a glowing icon on your phone, the compass has always been humanity's small answer to the same terrifying question: which way? One carved rock, 1,000 years, and a world remapped, all because someone in the Han Dynasty noticed that lodestone, left to spin freely, always came to rest facing the same direction. This is Origins. Subscribe and come back tomorrow. There's a new origin every single morning.